Hello, everybody. This is Shaney Entertainy, and I'm here to do another live stream for you all. I'm not really English, by the way. Yeah, this is Shaney Entertaining, guys, and I guess as for what
live stream for you all.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm not really English, by the way.
So my
yeah,
my
this is
volume is working there, guys, as you can tell. So let's see. I got one person there in the chat right now waiting. So just wait for a few more. Just wait for people to come and do my usual wasting of my time. Hey man, Black Cat Cinephile, what's up, bud? Good to see you. Today I got like an interesting, I got a topic that's been, well, I mean, not just been burning my mind, and just been burning a lot of people's minds, because this is something that I think most of us, your Grace, DM Foe, how you doing, man? Glad to see you guys can join me. Yeah, this is something we need to keep discussing. I know it's one of those topics that I talk about often, but I think until it stops, we have to keep doing it. We have to keep pounding away at the territory here. I got to make our points heard and make sure that people understand what's going on. You know, why we got to defend ourselves at this point, because we've been silent for too long on these subjects. Men, I'm talking about, and we've allowed ourselves to doing good. Good to hear, man. Good to hear you guys are doing well. That's actually the best. It's more important than anything else. Is how we're feeling, how we're doing. You know, sometimes we get caught up in all this. Sometimes we forget that there's real life too. That, you know, our own lives that we have to make sure are good and happy and positive, and all that sort of stuff. So that's good. But yeah, no, like just so many things just keep happening, and it just won't stop. And again, it just kind of frustrates me that, like, for instance, if you keep talking, you listen to this stuff about Batwoman and the petition. Hey, Mr. Record, or is it Mr. Record or Mr. Record? I'm a man. Hear me fart. He says, "Hear you fart?" Because you're telling me there's no odor that comes with that, buddy. I find that hard to believe. I not can believe. Yeah, no, there's an odor to that, buddy. So yeah, man, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. We gotta continuously show our distaste and our displeasure for these things, these movies, these films, these commercials, these whatever the hell they come out with, to consistently try to attack man. It's not even, and the funny part is, like, they don't even see it, which is hilarious. He says I'm safe from it. Good. until they actually, you know, come up with smell-o-vision, where we can actually smell from the other side. But that would be interesting. A completely different medium, smeller, like Twitter. We just send stinks to people. If we could, man, the stinks I'd send to Brie Larson. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's quite a manly conversation too. That's one of the things they want to change about us, guys. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today, is the constant bombardment of anti-masculine, anti-male sentiment that just keeps permeating odoriferously through the atmosphere into our noggins and our brains. And the funny part is that they're not even noticing it anymore. It's just getting so they're noticing it, but it's people aren't noticing it. It's just getting, like, they're noticing it, but what I mean by not noticing it is, like, the people who are doing it don't see how it's offensive, and that's what's frustrating me. I've read, okay, because recently, I'm just going to do a little quick plug. Death by Saber, Fanatics of Film, and we started a petition to stop the. Go check it out. It was actually a really funny episode, where we wrote it completely on air, live. The petition to stop CW's Batwoman before it airs. Started off as a joke, and it started to kind of become get a life of its own as time went on. And the funny part is, you know, you hear what people say about it and what people are saying about even the trailer. Like, if you go on the comment section, which is the most hilarious comment section in the world, guys, I think we might do a live stream later and read them all. 91 signatures last he saw. Yeah, 91 signatures, guys. It's going to reach 100, and then Other channels will start picking it up, perhaps. But here we have a thing that's completely insulting to guys. And the funny part is all they talk about is in the stuff that I see the SJWs complain about is, here we go again, more men just outwardly bashing another female superhero. This is getting tiresome. And it's like, we could never be ever a villain. I mean, we could, even when we're being vilified, we still can't even accept that. Like, we're still the bad guys, even when it's like they insult us, call us names, say things right to our face, but we're still the bad guys. This is the most brainwashed situation that I've ever seen in history, where like you can't even be a victim and still getting considered. I'm not a victim. I don't call myself a victim, because one thing you do is when you feel like you're down, you block yourself and you get back up and you stand up for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself, which is what we're doing with this, which is what we're doing with these live streams, which is what we're doing with that petition. We're standing up for ourselves. We're saying, we're mad as hell and we ain't going to take this shit no more. Pardon my French, le merde. We're not going to take le merde no more, because we're tired. We're tired of all this. And I'm fed up, and I know a lot of you guys are fed up with this. They're taking everything that belonged to us, all the stuff that we loved, that we grew, that we built, and exactly what Batwoman, the trailer says, or happens in the trailer, is exactly what's happening. And that's kind of what really bothers us. What bothers me is because we talk about what does Batwoman do in that whole thing. Mr. Record says U.S. men should stop fixing women's cars and computers. That will get them to treat us better. Yeah, stop squishing their spiders. Stop, a lot of things, man. Stop coming to their rescue. For a lot of reasons. There's so many things we could talk about in that direction, because the funny part is, what I wanted to discuss going further into this was just how men and women need each other. And it's funny because the dialogue, what's happening out is talking about how women don't need men. Women don't need us. Women are strong without us. Women could do whatever they want. And that's fine if you want to be empowered and you want to feel like you can be independent. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm all for independence and trying to feel like you could, oh no, not I will survive. Go nuts, man. I am woman. Hear you roar. Fine, go roar. But don't meow and hide in the corner and tell everyone else to go away because you can't come out of the corner because you're too afraid and you're meowing in the corner in the litter box. Don't sit in the litter box like a frightened kitten and then tell the world to change so that you can come out of the damn thing, out of the litter box, because that's what's happening. Women are actually still being cowards. They're still hiding. I mean, I hate to say that, but not all women. I'm not generalizing all women. I'm talking about these type of SJW women or feminists are the ones that are still afraid of being who they are, afraid of themselves, afraid of the world, afraid of being hurt by men, afraid of being hurt by toxic masculinity, fragile to the planet, fragile to probably themselves, can't handle themselves in real situations or in verbal communication or verbal arguments, can't handle themselves in the real world, and that's why they want to change everybody else so that they can somehow feel comfortable with themselves. And that's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to change. How is that even going to help, even if we did all that? Because there's always going to be something new, some other scary little entity or scary force that comes out, like you said, a spider that comes out, woo, and then you gotta have somebody to squish it for you because you can't handle it. The minute you get out and you squish that first spider, you go, that crack was a little off-putting, but I kind of liked it. That's what we need here. We need more women to stop talking about squishing spiders and watching other people on television squish spiders, or changing men that used to squish spiders into women that squish spiders so you could learn how to do it. Just do it. Just do it. No one's going to protect you. You got to protect yourself. And if you want to act strong or be brave and act tough, then be tough. Just like in that trailer when they came out. So the trailer for Batwoman, when she comes out, the Batwoman character, I don't even care about her name. Black Hat Cinephile says, it's their way of being superior to men is to be short, skinny boy chicks. See, that's the thing. That's the whole hilarious part of it, is like the message is so convoluted. It's not even that. It's not even about being superior to men in that state, in that sense. It's a bunch of mixed messages. It's about like basically you got a lesbian woman who is dresses like a man, acts like a man, talks like a man, gets all boyish, and then when she suddenly, when it suits the narrative, she wants to be a woman. And when she says the bat suit's near perfection, and he goes, well, it'll be perfect when it fits a woman. Well, what about your jeans? What about your flannel shirt you're wearing? What about your leather top and your boy haircut? None of that suggests you want to be a woman at all. Yet suddenly now when the Batman rhetoric comes out and you need to be a Batwoman, does the woman stuff come out? And it's a mixed message, and that's why it fails miserably, is because it's not helping anybody do anything. It's just a bunch of pandering. Really all it is pandering to everybody to make sure that nobody gets hurt that is going to cry. And that's all it is. The people that cry, they don't want them to get hurt. The people who are going to cry because, oh, I got a boo-boo. Someone gave me a boo-boo. Usually guys go, walk it off. They'll walk it off. Girls will sit there going, oh, yeah. Those people. I'm not saying all girls. I know a lot of tough girls, trust me, that'll walk into work with 2 missing arms and they'll still be like, I don't care, I got to go to work, right? We're not talking about those. We're talking about these particular flower power children. Because that's what it is, man. They are so afraid of hurting their feelings that's why they have these stupid mixed messages of a lesbian. Now the lesbians community doesn't know what they want because they're after her because she's not too lesbian. She's not lesbian enough apparently. Now she's got to be. They don't understand. They're just out for complaining. They're just out to complain for the sake of complaining. And the more you give into this crap, the more they're just going to keep doing it. It's at some point, that's why we got to put a halt to this and tell these people to grow up. It's time. It's time to say, grow up. I'm tired of the narrative of always having to defend myself, of like when you walk around and you don't like a movie and it's like, well, here we go. Another feminist movie, another female superhero that the patriarchy wants to knock down because they're hateful and they hate all women. And that's BS, man. That's BS. DMFO, I feel that it will reach a tipping point where all the crazy pines anti-men will stop. The question is when. The question is when, and when will it stop? Because I feel like the problem with, I know that this stuff tends to stop if you look at historically, because we've had this kind of stuff before. The 60s and the 70s were very similar to today. But the difference was social media. And what I'm seeing, the real dangerous part of all this is that a lot of television networks, channels, new YouTube channels, not just YouTube channels, but also Twitter feeds, Twitter accounts, Instagram, all the stuff, all of it, blogs. Especially like when you talk about BuzzFeed or the Mary Sue or any of them, right or left feed, like it doesn't matter which way you stand, it's all the same. The minute they know what gets ratings, and of course they're going to pander to those ratings. And so what creates ratings? Well, controversy creates ratings. So the nature of marketing is to search for the most, what could create the most controversy with. Not just controversy, because it's all about emotion. You want to create emotion. So you drive anger. It's the easiest emotion to get out of a person. So anger and outrage. So they know it. These magazines aren't going to stop throwing these things out there, even if they don't believe it. You could have all the people at the Mary Sue be right wingers, but they're going to make money on the left wing stuff. So they're just going to keep hammering it home and keep going after it because it continuously, it takes a life on its own. The minute you do it, it becomes, and so that's why I'm saying it's hard to get this to stop because it sells too much. The people who consume this are the ones who actually have to put an end to it because we're the ones who have to tune it out. Because we're the ones who are being fueled, whether you're on the side of outrage or you're on the side of either way, outrage on both sides. Wookiee Live Master, feminism is cancer. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. It's like I said, but feminism right now doesn't even know what the hell it is. It doesn't even understand itself. If you ask a feminist what a feminist is, a feminist will tell you 5 different things. and it doesn't even understand itself. It's like, we're here for equality for everybody. Screw men. I hate men. Men should die. Take all the men out of the world. That's what, okay. We care about equality and we care about diversity, but diversity apparently only includes LGBTQ, Black people, and women. It doesn't include, quadriplegics, paraplegics. Doesn't include small people. It doesn't include, it doesn't include a lot of different people. But apparently, it only includes, Native Americans. It doesn't include them. It doesn't include a lot of people that just. It only includes a specific people because that's all that matters to the corporations, because really it's the corporate media that are just trying to appease, because it's not changing. Nobody really is changing anything. And that's the thing that gets me. What's actually happening is not real change. What's actually happening, that's what they call it. We're woke. You're not woke. Or this evolution I keep hearing about. We're just evolving. It's evolving. The left is clearly fascist. Hashtag walk away. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really subscribe to the left-right paradigm. I'm not either one. I'm just going to be honest with you right now. I am the type of person that I call BS in both directions when I see it. I don't consider myself a centrist. I just feel like the human dynamic the human experience is too dynamic to consider yourself leaning in any direction, because, I'm this way when it comes to this topic, and I'm this way when it comes to that topic. And because we're all different, there's different ways of handling different things. I find once you get too dogmatic about a direction, you become, in itself, it also becomes fascist in both directions. It can become fascist in both directions. So you gotta so when we start calling one, we get very closed-minded to sometimes when we get into those left-right arguments, because that's where the danger happens, because we now are going to tune out good ideas from the other side because it came from the other side, as opposed to actually listening to maybe a really good idea, and then maybe a really, you know what I mean? Because that's what I find in a lot of, with the opposition in Canada. We have the opposition governments in Canada, and then it doesn't matter what good budget the governing government says, the other government's going to say, BS, that's garbage, I hate it, regardless of what it is. There's no right-wing screaming lunatics. I've never heard a Republican there aren't many full natives left, which is kind of a shame. So Black Wookie. Well, again, I don't know enough about right, left wing, Republican stuff. Like I said, I'm Canadians, so we have our differences in that. We do have our right wing, and I do see that there are. I think the difference between left and right is the left thinks that they're self-righteous. The left think that they're self-righteous to the point where, and that's the dangers. They're far more dangerous because of that, because the right kind of is pragmatic. The right understands that sometimes, you gotta, tough love, you gotta do. I think they're easier to vilify in the sense that because of the fact that they take a hard-nosed approach to things, and, whereas the left like to put themselves up as shining stars. And that's kind of what makes it more dangerous, is because when you're acting like a hero, but you're actually when you're calling yourself a hero, but acting like a villain, that's what I find more dangerous than when you're already being pointed as a villain and you're just acting, you're just trying to be pragmatic. And people don't like the truth. And that's the problem. You've got that sissy for prime minister. You don't have to convince me that he's a sissy. I don't disagree with you there. I can't stand the man. Can't stand what he looks like. His face. Hate looking at him. You don't have to convince me about that guy, because I can't stand that guy. And he won't last too long. Don't worry about that. People are becoming wise to him. I wonder why this is happening. DDM Foe says throughout the first world countries, from US and Canada all the way to Europe. Black Cinephile says, I don't get involved with left-right because I know both are fake. There's only exploiters to rule us and to exploit and give them all our money. That's exactly what it is. Because there is no, I mean, I'm going to get political here. I don't really like to, but I'm going to right now because we're getting there. We here we don't have a real. I would say a system of democracy isn't real. What we're doing is we're voting for. It's like if you voted for Hillary Clinton, for instance, and you're a Clinton fan and Clinton supporter, you check out who is funding her campaign, because that's who she works for. That's who you were voting for. You weren't voting for Hillary. You were voting for the people who were behind her campaign. So that's really the problem. Is like you got to understand who the interests of the people you're voting for, and that's the problem. Is that all of the systems we don't know what we're voting for anymore. Are we voting for people? Are we voting for an idea? Are we voting for the corporate people behind the people who are running? And that's where the system is completely false. It needs to be addressed and fixed. Is that because right now we're lost. We don't know who the heck we're voting for. Are we voting for the drug cartels or the drug companies? Are we voting for television networks? Are we voting for CNN? Are we voting for we don't know, because it's all the UAE funded Hillary. Exactly. There's so many different, George Soros, we know that guy's a shady SOB, and who the hell knows whose pockets that guy's in, right? He's in everybody's pocket. And that's the thing too. That's where we got to be very careful about these things. And we can't fall prey to the narrative that they want us to fall prey toward. And when you start seeing, like DMFO, you just said, I wonder why this is happening throughout the first world countries from the US, Canada, all the way to Europe. Why is it happening? Well, think about it. What would be the problem? What would be the point in all this? To create diversity, to create anger, animosity. What would be the point to almost seemingly incomprehensibly, like that Batwoman trailer was so offensive, and you know it's going to get flack. I mean, what are they can't be this stupid. Either they are this stupid, and God help us. Sheeny knows his shite. I got taking wifey to lunch. All right, bud, have a good lunch with your wifey. Why is the EU, like, is the West, why is this happening to the West mostly, right? Why? And that's a good question. Why is it that things that seem incomprehensible, like why are they consistently, it almost seems too obviously bad to be real, like the Gillette commercial, the one about the men, that just seems almost purposefully offensive. It's to advertise, and look at all the advertising. Sure, there's an element to that for sure. But it comes down to Sharia law is coming to the West. I wish I could tell you that you're wrong, but it's not looking good there. That's a different story altogether. But anyway, but we still, at some point, though, we're still in control, right? And here's the thing I want us to say. A victim mentality doesn't just stop at the individual or the SJWs. It also stops when we stop pointing to, like, saying, well, this government is going to control us and this government is controlling. We are still, because that's what they want us to believe. You understand? They want us to believe that we haven't the power, but we have the power, guys. And that's the problem. They know that. So they use manipulative tactics like, division, divide and conquer. That's the reason they're doing it. It's the divide and conquer tactic that they've been doing for generations and generations. Let's not let them see what we're doing on this hand. It's the magic trick. This hand's doing something behind the back. This is where the trick is happening. And over here, this is what I want you to see. I want you to see Batwoman. I want you to see all this crap that's getting us to fight with each other, get people to fight. There's no reason to fight with each other anymore. It's funny how the minute a black president becomes elected, that's when the race wars start happening. When black president when Obama became president, everyone was heralding U.S. as like, yay, the world is like, finally racism is over, and yay, all the wonderful good bells are ringing. We never thought a black president would ever happen. How quickly did that turn? How quickly did that turn into the complete opposite? Because maybe we scared a few people. Maybe it was frightening to see that, we were coming together. And so they had to divide us at some point. Maybe all that stuff with the Wall Street stuff. Remember that? What was it called? Remember that 1% stuff that everybody was on Wall Street and Bay Street in Toronto, and they were, in London, and every major capital had people staking out those places, that we were actually watching that, maybe that scared them. I don't know. And they had to divide us. And that's why ever since it's been, because listen, we've always had, they keep us fighting with each other. This is what Black Hat Cinephile says. They keep us fighting with each other so we don't think too much about them. Well, that's what they do in prisons. Anybody knows in the prison system, that's what they do. That's why they have different gangs in prisons. And they like the gangs. They don't get rid of the gangs because the gangs keep the prisoners fighting with each other, so they don't have to fight with the guards. And that's the problem. That's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing in Rome. That's what they did. They've been doing throughout history. It's a divide mentality. They don't want us to feel safe. They don't want us to. They want us to consistently feel this way, this narrative of anxiety, because they need us to keep having to feed us drugs. I hate that I sound like a conspiracy theorist right now, but it's funny because this is stuff that has to be said. And sometimes it's conspiracy theory, and then sometimes there's conspiracy fact. A conspiracy theory is when I'm actually blaming somebody and saying, well, I know exactly who's responsible for all of this, and I'm going to point my finger in a specific direction. I don't have any answers. I wish I did. I wish I knew that I could be an Alex Jones and go, listen, guys, we all know that George Soros and evil people in the left wing, they're just trying to blah, blah. I don't do that. I don't know. I can't profess to know. But I just know that I can see I could see what doesn't make sense to my mind. And when things aren't financially making sense, there's no reason why Star Wars should be as divided as it is. There is no reason for that. There is no reason. Why wouldn't they want to make money? It doesn't make any sense. And every time I keep hearing the Lucasfilm coming out, I'm not saying they're part of the conspiracy. I don't know who's part of it. I just don't know. But when you have one corporation buying up everything, well, then you got to ask yourself, one corporation is out there buying everybody. And yet that corporation is consistently responsible for us fighting with each other. So that also does not lend to some sort of, you might be right about something. Because why are these people fighting? Why are Disney is buying up everything, and it's the same companies that are constantly having the same like behind the scenes company that's getting us to fight with each other always. Like it's the mouse is behind a lot, not all of it, but a lot, and they could be part of it anyway. They keep us. Black Hat Cinephile says if we thought of them more, we might realize things. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's called asking questions, and we're not allowed to ask questions. We're not allowed to question anything. If I ask a question as to why something doesn't make sense, and yet you're a conspiracy theorist if you think, well, yeah, because no one's ever tried to take over the world in the history of mankind. No one's ever done that, guys. That's just crazy conspiracy theory, right? Napoleon never existed, neither did Hitler. Those people never existed. Those things never happened. The Japanese didn't try to do anything wrong. The Black Hat Cinephile says it's declassified that Admiral Morrison lied about Gulf of Tonkin. Well, yeah, I know all about that too. Try asking questions about 9/11. Well, I mean, there's a lot of questions about 9/11. As a Canadian, though, when it first came out and I looked at it, I remember we were like, it was wow, this is insane. But the more you looked at the facts that would come out, and because we weren't as involved, because it didn't affect us as much as it affected you, like on a personal level, I think we were more detached from it. So we could sort of objectively look at things. And then you see in the UK, they had the train bombings right after. So they became all really into it. And the fear mongering that happened after it. See, what gets me is like what happens after the fallout is what really you go look at. Because what is the fallout to 9/11? Regardless of whether you believe it was exactly what happened or what it didn't happen, what was the fallout of it? And the fallout wasn't a freer society. The fallout was a more constrained, was a more restricted society. And so by that nature, they won. And that, here we are talking about fighting against terrorism or fighting against the evils. But when we've allowed the evil to win, because we've now become a sheltered community, because now we can't leave the country without being, have a rubber glove up our ass. We can't, these things are the fallout, the consistent arguing, the back and forth. Don't think for a minute that the victim culture didn't start with 9/11. Because the victim culture created a fear. The fear mongering created people to be scared, filled with anxiety. They don't know what's coming after them, and people are coming after people. And oh my God, I can't run out of my house because a terrorist might blow me up. These kind of things created fear and anxiety in a whole group of people that were young. Just imagine the kids growing up during 9/11. Just the kids that are being raised during that time from right before 6 years old. Those kids are the people we're complaining about right now. The ones that are, the millennials, the new generation. These kids are not the millennials, but this new generation that we feel, are sheltered or don't feel, are afraid. We create the fear. They were born with fear. They have no choice but to run and hide because they were taught this from the beginning of their birth. About that. And Wookiee Landmaster, not claiming conspiracy theories, just asking questions. Well, that's the thing. Well, no, I don't have a problem with conspiracy theories. Don't get me wrong. I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist you'll ever come, because I don't talk about it all the time because I know it's kind of shunned upon. But I mean, to the mass degree, and people start to judge you based on it. But I had a long time of Shaney with a tinfoil hat in my life. Trust me. So that's why, I still think like these things are going on, and it's also called programming. Like we get programmed, and I've been saying this. It's hilarious how people don't notice these things, right? For instance, when Civil War comes out, the movie, at the same time, around the same time as, well, before that, you had Batman v Superman, which is a civil war. It's just called differently. It's Batman v Superman, two good guys fighting each other. See, what they were trying to do is get us programming us subliminally to also fight with each other. You understand? To fight with your friends, to fight with your neighbors, to fight with people you care about. And that's, you see what I mean? Like, see how the programming is? These major blockbuster movies were outwardly conditioning us to fight with each other. And look at what we're doing since. See, when you talk about conspiracy theories, let's look at the outcomes of things. So let's look at what is the outcome. What is the outcome of Batman v Superman, and what was the outcome of Civil War? Well, since those movies came out, we've been nothing but fighting with each other. There's always been inner fighting, of course, but they fueled what was already there and is now taken over and has become a part of our culture. It's just, again, and now they're just consistently doing it. And now they don't even probably have to do anything because they've already started the fire and they've ignited it. Now they're just sitting there like standing back going, look at those fools. We don't even have to do anything anymore. They're doing it for us because now it becomes part of our narrative. We get angry because first of all, you start getting addicted to the anger, then the rage. It's a chemical imbalance and you get addicted to it. So you just wake up in the morning wanting to be angry. And I know this because I was an angry person not that long ago. When I told you, when I had the tinfoil hats, and I was out there every morning looking at new conspiracies, talking about how the world is we're being manipulated and all that crap. But then I also realized that we cannot fall victim to this. We can't, because that's what they want us to do. You understand? The more we give this power, the more power they have. I don't know why I'm talking so slowly now. Shani, approve of this message. People are programmed to believe conspiracies, to disbelieve conspiracies. Yeah, 100%, because the word conspiracy has become a joke. Oh, are you a conspiracy theorist? Yeah, well, why are you bobbing your head like that? Because conspiracies don't exist? It's funny because I like to use human nature as this funny thing because do you guys ever watch the show Survivor? Back in the day, Survivor's still around though. You ever watch that show? Because it shows you the true nature of human beings. Because really, the Survivor has nothing to do with actual survival in the woods. It's a game of for people who are not aware of Survivor. It's a game where they take two groups of people, separate them, put them on an island, tell them that they have to survive in the wilderness. They take away their fire, their this, their that. And some of them are survival people. Some of them aren't. Some of them are good athletes. Some of them aren't. And they tell them to survive. And really, and every day at the end of a couple of trials, and they have to actually vote someone off the island. That's what Survivor is. And that's so here you have the first people who tend to be voted off are not the people you usually expect. So remember, now you got these two groups fighting with each other. We've already established that two groups are going to be divided. You're right. So right again, we got the left-right paradigm being executed on an island. I'm not saying that they're left or right, but you get what I mean. They always separate people into two groups because we always have to be fighting. So then you have within the groups, this just naturally always tends to happen. It always just tends to happen where you have one group divides into smaller little groups, these little small little secret societies within these groups that are plotting and planning and within each other for dominance in the group. And then in that group, the same thing happens. The other group, there's little groups that plot and, because it's not enough that you have two groups fighting that they can be together. These little groups these big two groups tend to form little groups. Now, afterwards, these two little groups, they start forming groups with people on the other side. So now they're making deals with people on that side to vote people off on this side and vote people so they too could survive and go towards the end. See, human beings are that way. We are completely prone to conspiracy theory. And if we were to look at it on the outside going, oh, you think that this guy's conspiring with that guy over there or is conspiring with this guy on that team? And they're like, that's a conspiracy theory. Sure, but it's 90% of the time in that show, it's true. That person is always conspiring with this person, and this person is conspiring with that person. And that's human nature. And so for us to sit here and go, even in your friends group, where people are conspiring, and that's just the nature of it, right? That's just the nature of it. But what my point to this, guys, is that, because I'm going really, really off topic here. We cannot allow this to keep winning. We're allowing this to keep to happen, and we're letting them win. And the more we give into the fighting, the more we give into it's like once you see them, like you guys seem to be woke. I mean, really woke. I'm talking about the people on my channel right now. Wookiee Lives Matter, Black Hat Cinephile. You guys seem to be woke in the fact that you understand what's happening. I don't have to tell you guys. You guys know and you understand. And I guarantee you, a lot of people know and understand. Not just you guys. I'm very sure if we went on to other channels, made a bigger deal of this, had 300 people on it, probably have 200 of those people who agree with what we're saying. 200 people agree with what we're saying out of a 300. That's my guess, right? Hey, Brian Young, how's it going, bud? So here's the thing. If we do agree with this, if we do agree that this is what's happening, it's like going into a magic show knowing what the magician is about to do. We see what the magician's about to do, and he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Now, we can somehow stop this by seeing the trick and by demonstrating to other people the trick before it happens. You see, this is the trick. This is the trick. This is the trick. Look, right here, he's going to pull the look, boom, the trick, and stop falling for the trick by getting angry, because that's what they want. The outrage is the reaction to the action that they want. So when someone comes out who says this certain thing, and then we give the reaction. Gillette comes out with an obviously controversial commercial, and we give what they want. We give them what they want because we get angry, outraged. Look at us. And now our vilification gets now when we get angry, they start vilifying our anger. So that the death side now says, see what these people are doing, and it doesn't even make sense because that's not what we're even saying. Half the times when we talk about we don't like The Last Jedi was what? It was about the reasons. It was the plot. It was the characters. It was that. But they tried to change the narrative so that it made it seem like what we were saying was bigoted. It was, and they focused on a few bigots and they focused on a few people who were, crazy. But most of us weren't. Most of us were felt betrayed. And then they created their own enemy because most movies would just fade out. But the fact that the Lucasfilm people came out and fueled the fire. Sorry. Wookiee, I'm going to go back to DM resistance is victory. The question is how? Well, the question is what we got to do. Understand that we together as a people, when we get together, we have the power. And they know this. They don't want us to get together. That's the thing. That's the thing. How we get together is stop fighting. Not fighting is fighting is what they want us to do. Stop fighting is what we have to do. And it sounds like the biggest cliche in the world. Love, guys. It's about love. That is the biggest cliche, but it's true. I mean, true in the sense that we're not going to sit there and just hug your stranger and, hi, I love you. Just go out to strangers and start hugging everybody on the corner. I love you because I know, I love you. But you hug your enemy. That's what you do. You hug your enemy, so to speak. That's what we do. It's easy to hate. It's easy to anger, and that's why it's being used against us the most. It's the hardest part is to stay strong and to love your enemy, because that's what we need to do. Because in the end, we're all looking for the same things. That's what is the truth is. Now, what is the end game here? What is what they want? If we're going to go conspiracy theory, guys, want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Let's put on our tinfoil hats. What is the outcome? What do you guys think the outcome is? So there was plenty of resistance ending slavery. Democrats were responsible for that too. Again, yes, we got to. Again, I'm getting the fact that you really hate Democrats, and I understand, but we gotta stop that narrative. We got to really understand that we got to center ourselves. And yes, Democrats and the Democratic Party might be being used as a vessel to create this narrative. And I agree, that's most likely, that's probably what's happening. But again, people become attached to things, and it's screwed up that way. That's why I don't like the left-right paradigm, because it becomes part of your self-identity, and that's really the important part. Is because when we self-identify as things, it becomes part of our character, part of who we are. I'm a right wing. Say I'm a right, and now if you go out against right people, you say something against right people, right away you're offended. Because why? And you take it personally because you've identified as that thing. Whereas like, I am a conspiracy theorist. Now, if you say something against conspiracy theorists, I'm going to get offended because I identify as that thing. Which is why we need to stop. I don't like the whole identity politics because of that. Because we could be multiple things without having to identify as anything. I don't need to identify as this or that. Just be who you are. I don't need to plant a flag on my body, a tattoo of what I am, because I'm always changing. My brain doesn't stay the same. I'm evolving as years go by, and as I win and lose battles. The war started long before Lincoln freed the slaves. He only did it to vilify the South, which was only resistance to Northern invasion, left to plunder. So that's American history, guys. Cool. Snoke Spinal Tap. Yeah, Mark also disagrees with how they were portraying Luke. They wanted to trash him because he's not chosen female by the main character. They want the female at the moment. They are like fish. I am nationalist and believe it or not, I am not a racist. No, I don't believe you are a racist. I think that for the most part, most people aren't racists anymore. I mean, real hardcore racist, because see, what they want to call racism isn't necessarily racism. It's sort of, there are certain things that people do get naturally. When you're born, you're like, hey, we're all together. Yay. But then when you start picking up on certain things at certain like, put it this way, I was just at work the other day, and some guys did something, and right away the guy I work with was a half Filipino, half Spanish guy. He goes, "I freaking hate white people." Right to me, he's like, says that to my face. "I freaking hate white people." Now that's racism, right, guys? But I called him on that. I said, "Wow, gee, I'm glad I'm not a white person, because that would really offend me." And he was like, "I'm not talking about you." Somehow I'm not white in his eyes, which is kind of a compliment. Really weird, because he didn't see color in me. But he was just like, I'm talking about other white people. Okay. Other white people are evil and bad. He hates them all. But me, apparently I'm different. So good on me. See, racism is racism, and it's how you feel about something or someone. And that's whether you hate or there's no reason to hate, because we all have things about our own people that we don't like. As Portuguese people, I could say my people, there's some things I don't like about us, the things I wish us to change. And the thing is, there's always that taboo. Only I could say things bad about my people. It's like your family. Only I could say things bad about my brother. You can't talk bad about him. Agree. I just want escapism back. Life is already hard as it is. Wookiee live stream, life matters. White privilege doesn't exist. Rich privilege does, however. Again, I agree. The privilege doesn't come from this color of your skin most of the time. And that's, again, what they want us to believe. The privilege tends to come from the quality of your wallet. um, the Victor wrote the history, and that's a lie. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, so I agree. This now, DMFO talks about escapism, and yeah, they're not letting you escape anymore, though. You get that? They're not letting you escape because they're before they had religions to sort of keep this divide. Religion was a really easy way to divide people because you would go to a church and the church would tell you things and then there would be a branch off of that church, and then that church, which was practically saying the same thing as the other church, but both churches somehow minor differences, and you can fight about those minor differences. And so there was an easy way to divide and conquer through religion. But religion is sort of not working as much as it used to, as people are starting to fall away from religion. And the new religions become movies and become superheroes and become the things that we consume and love. Because we're not going to church as much anymore. What we're doing is this. This is what we're doing 90% of the time now. We're just looking through YouTube, looking through Facebook, looking at Twitter, or we're watching movies. That's what we're doing now. We're not as easy to brainwash anymore because we're consistently consuming from different sources, and we're not focusing on specific things religiously, so to speak. So they're not allowing us to consume the things that we want. They're not allowing us to consume it because our escapism is being used against us now. The stuff that we would go to, like Star Wars, or is now being used against us, right? To consider and then we got to understand that that's part of the reason. I mean, this all sounds sort of crazy when you think about it, and you go say, well, it's really hard to plan out. You're telling me there's just one group of guys sitting alone in a room and they're planning all this stuff out. Yes and no. I mean, there is an element to that, but it's not all that, because there's probably not just one group doing it. There's probably a bunch of groups doing it, and they're probably fighting with each other. The Victor wrote the history. What lives matter, the Force is my religion, and Disney is a bunch of blasphemers. Blasphemers! You've blasphemed against the Force. Snoke Spinal Tap says, hey, by the way, hi, how's it going, by the way, guys? This whole female main character thing started because of people saying a man can only be a superhero, and the story or main character, like Die Hard, people wanted more females in Hollywood, went nuts. No. Yes and no. Again, there's always been that sentiment. That's not a new sentiment. That's not something that's brand new. If you go back to the time when they made Terminator, or the time when they made Ripley, and even before that, even back in the 50s, there was discussions about that. These aren't new things. These aren't new ideas. Feminists have been talking about this stuff for a long time. But what feminists don't seem to realize is that the only thing that really matters to movie studios in the past, the things that matter are actual, is money. That's what matters, and what sells, right? What sells. And for the longest time, it's like, look, you put up, if you go to any teenage girl's room, right? Go to any teenage girl's room. What is on their wall? Most of it is what? The latest rock band they like, or the Jonas Brothers, or whatever's guy is out there now. It's usually who made Backstreet Boys popular, who made the Boys to Men popular, who made the Beatles popular. It was teenage girls did that. Teenage girls love watching boys and men half naked with muscles rippling, doing things, and they consume that and they like it, and so they're a big part of the audience. Men like action. We're easy sells. Give us action. Give us some good action, some decent story, and we're good on that. We're great, and that's what's been selling. That's what sells. And Hollywood and stuff gives us more of that because that's what we want. We're the consumers. We're buying that, and that's what we're buying. So girls are watching. Girls don't tend to want to see other girls doing things. They just don't. I mean, not saying all women don't. Some girls do, for sure. Wonder Woman is very popular. But a lot of girls like to see hot guys, and ask any girl. That's what, Jason Momoa Most girls were, oh my God, Momoa, he's just so good. I watched him do Momoa on my lawn. You know, Momoa, Jason Momoa was the one who was, you know, who towed the line because of his body. You know, Thor isn't the most popular character for what reason? Because of his body, because he's played by a hot dude, right? So that's girls don't make any bones about it. Most girls like hot guys, and these people know it. That's why they put them there. And if it was the reverse, if hot girls sold more, guess what? You'd see more hot girls because guys would consume it. Guys would want to see it. Guys would want to see more girls on screen because guys like seeing girls. Girls like seeing boys. So the narrative that feminists say, well, we need to identify with that. And I do agree because responsibly, we do need to see more females on screen because, you know, if you just listen to what sells, it's always not the healthiest thing for us. So we do sometimes have to force, you know, certain things into existence because it isn't always healthy to see, you know, one thing. Sometimes you need to see different things, and diversity is a good thing. But forced diversity to the level that we're at this moment is ridiculous. So that's the point. And here's the thing right now, the narrative that we're getting, there has always been female leads. Of course, there's always been female leads. Sure. But there's also been a disproportionate amount of male leads. And because the funny part is there was a dead zone. There was an actual dead zone of female leads for a while. It went from, I think, the early 2000s into, I guess, 2000, late 2000, like mid 2000s. There was a few years of really dead zone there where there was a few, but nothing major. And you could always point to really, you know, to the ones that everybody points to, but it is overwhelmingly against. And I'm like, again, it happened because it sold. If it didn't sell, it wouldn't have happened. Money is the one that talks. That's the nature of it. But sometimes you have to force it. So Black, and I'm not saying that it should be forced the way it is right now, because this is ridiculous. Black Hat Cinephile says if there was a deficit of female leads, that's an easy fix. Just make more movies with female leads, but that can be done without going nuts about it. They're hurting their case with this approach. Yes, 100% agree on that. 100% agree. Because the narrative that they're doing is they're replacing men that have been established characters, that have a following, that have a love and a fan base. And they're replacing that with women. You know, and that's detrimental to both the male characters and the old fans, and to them, because you're never going to have, like, take Batman. I'm going to go back to this Batwoman thing, because this is a prime example of something that just happened. You have a male character that is beloved, that has been running for decades, and that it's got so much history behind it, and out of the blue, they just decide we need to supplant this Batman with a Batwoman. Why? Why do you need a Batwoman at all? Period. And when I kept hearing people say, oh, they're going to come up with a Batwoman, I hated it from the beginning. I hated it. And people say, oh, but Batwoman. Batwoman's stupid. She's a derivative character of Batman. She is not her own character, nor can she exist in a world without Batman. So how is that giving women anything, or girls anything to believe in? Again, you're just handing a little cookie. You're creating diversity. You're creating division right off the bat, because that's, again, back to that whole creating of division, because that's a prime way of create division. Because here you have, got to bounce. Great stream, Shaney. Good conversation. Catch you all. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming. Wookiee Lives Matter. Always a good conversation. I like having, you know, we can agree, disagree at things. You know, that's just what makes us. And that's one thing I will say about the right. The right does seem to be able to have a conversation. The left right now is just tone deaf, and they just don't want to hear it. And that's the only way I will say about left and right now, is that the left just don't want to listen at the moment. They're just too preoccupied listening to their own crap, and then, like, basically believing their own self-righteousness. And they believe it so strongly that they've identified as SJWs. Like, they identify as self-righteous people because they identify as taking the moral high ground, as being elevated. And when you identify that way, and someone is actually using logic to take you down, that becomes that creates a fight or flight response within your system that you just tune away from because you don't want to deal with that. Because I think of myself as a hero, and that's how I want to see myself. And now you're making a strong argument and a good argument that creates doubt in my mind, that puts enough doubt in my mind that I'm just tuning you out because I'd rather believe what I want to believe than actually believe the truth. And that is the biggest problem I'm seeing with the left right now. And remember, this is coming from an impartial person. I don't really care left or right. I just seeing it. That's why I sit in the position I can sit in, because if I can call out bullshit when I see it. And what I'm seeing right now is the tendency of the left is to consider themselves as high and mighty and really identifying as that, and it's becoming part of their personality. And that intertwined with their personality becomes fight or flight. Because the minute you challenge them with actual logic, they don't want to deal with it. They want to hear it. They won't even watch the trailer. I guarantee you they won't watch the Batman trailer or the Batwoman trailer, because all they'll see is Batwoman's coming out. Yay, a victory for us. But then they're not going to actually consume the product because that would only help them, but they're not going to do it because that's not what they're there to do. They're just there to take notches on their belt. So yay, we won. We took Batman. So now that's all they care about. And a female lead. Yay, female lead. And then they're not looking at what the trailer is telling people. They're not looking at the anti-male sentiment. They're not looking at that because they're not consuming it. They're not seeing it. And even if they did see it, they would be looking at it with blinders because they would just be looking at what they want to see, which is, oh, look, she kicked ass. She said these points. Oh, that's what we believe. Oh, that's but they're not seeing it from the other side. They can't, because if they do, they'll realize, oh, wait a minute, this isn't right. We can't. Two wrongs don't make a right. And so they're blinding. They're selectively seeing what they want to see. And so again, that's another way of dividing people. Is like you have one group. Well, one group just won't open their eyes. And that's sort of the shame of this whole thing. Because I wish I could just invite 1,000, not 1,000, that's a lot. A group of SJWs, even if I'm the only one here, onto my show, and let's have a good debate. It doesn't matter what I would say. It doesn't matter what points I brought up. It didn't matter what I would tell them, how I told them I felt. It wouldn't matter, because all they would do was see it from their perspective and tune out everything that I have said that made any sense, because they don't want to believe it. There might be one or two out of 100, or maybe less than 100, maybe 50, that would listen. But most of them would be like, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear this. This is not what I want to hear. I want to believe that when I wake up in the morning and I eat my tofu sandwiches, that I'm the greatest person ever. They don't want to believe that they are at all in the wrong. Spinal Tap says, seem like it started with Ray, and after the now all main strong characters are saviors of the day is female. Back it was more and more male, and all the time now major people want female now. Well, yeah, because it's a trend, right? The trend happens and everybody's like falling with the trend, and every studio has to be the next one to do it. Like Wonder Woman came out, said, hey, we're going to do a female lead. And well, actually Jessica Jones came out first, and that did it properly. And then Wonder Woman followed with hers. And then, I mean, in the recent times, I know there's been other characters, but recently. And then Marvel said, well, we haven't done one yet. Now we're late to the party. We got to do something. So they trudged out Captain Marvel out of the sewers, even though they had female characters. And it doesn't even make sense, because they could have just expanded their female characters that they already had. But instead of doing that, they decided to go complete SJW on it, and went with the Captain Marvel narrative, because they had to be better than more woke than everybody else, as Mickey had to get his woke on, right? Ha! I'm more woke than everybody. You're not gonna out woke Mickey. God damn it! That's what Mickey's wanting to out woke us, and that's all that shit is. Now everybody's falling through with that trend, but again, and you're seeing that in cartoons, you're seeing that in movies, you're seeing that all over the place. And it's not, again, it's one thing to say, fine, you want female leads, that's fine. I don't care. Give me a good story. Give me a good Give me a character that I can believe in. Give me a character. Remember that once upon a time there was a thing called a character that you could like. What's it called? The underdog. Remember those underdog characters you used to like? You want to follow the underdog. It doesn't matter if it's a woman, a man. It doesn't matter who it is. That's why Tyrion is such a great character in The Lord of the Rings. He's the underdog. He's the guy who everyone rooted for, despite the fact that who relates to Tyrion. Do I relate to Tyrion because we're both men? No, he's a little person. He's a small person in the world that he gets treated and bitched around like crazy. And yet we all followed Tyrion regardless of what gender you were. Why? Because everyone could relate to feeling small in a big world. Everyone could relate to being smart and just not being able to be appreciated and not finding proper love and having alcohol abuse or the things that he went through in reality. That's what made Tyrion such a compelling character. We related to Tyrion, really, regardless of who you were. But no, who am I going to say just because our genitals are the same, we should relate to each other when our lives are completely different? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You relate to the person, you don't relate to the character. So I could relate to a woman, it doesn't matter. In the way that women should be able to relate to us. But that's again the whole false narrative that you're trying to tell us, that we need to somehow have exact representation of everything we are, which is impossible. You can't have exact representation of anybody. So Snoke Spinal Tech, you say, seem like, oh, you wrote that. Yep, it's a trend. They use the trend for free publicity. Batwoman is a great example. And that's the thing. Like, I consider myself, like, while I do agree with the petition is kind of a funny thing we did and fun, and I do think we need to take a stand on it. The only sad part is that it also lends to give it a voice, and I don't. But at the same time, we got to do something. And we have to voice that we can't take this crap no more. We're not. I'm done with it. I'm done taking it because they're not going to change. They're not trying to adjust for us. They keep wanting us to change, and this whole thing with Gwyneth Paltrow now that she's trying to create a show to try to help men how to be good people. What kind of sick shit is this? So now we have a woman, now another like a woman kind of voice show that's to teach men to be good people. And why are women constantly trying to change us? Why do women have to keep changing men? That's another thing we deal with our whole lives, women constantly trying to change men, which is funny because we don't change. We don't care about what women are. We love women for who they are. We know that most men understand that that there's flaws in women, but we accept them for what they are. I do. I'm not going to look at any woman and say, oh, you're perfect beings. You're not perfect. You have a lot of flaws, but guess what? We understand your flaws, but we love you for the good stuff, and we accept you for the flaws that you are. But that right now, that's not what's happening. We have a group of women who are bitter, who are angry, who feel like and not just women, but other men too. Men that are, for lack of a better word, I mean, I'm not going to use pussy whip, but it seems like that. It seems like they're definitely, frightened and they can't compete in a world where maybe they're not the alpha male. I don't even know. And even they don't, but they're alpha in their brains, but not in their mind, but not in their actual life, right? They want to be alphas, but they're not. And so then they just want to kiss ass to girls because that's how they think they're going to get laid, which almost pisses me off more. But you have a group of these people who they don't know how to adjust themselves or don't want to adjust themselves to fit the world. So they try and change the world to fit them. And that's never going to work out. That is just never going to work out, And even if you do vilify all the men and you say all this toxic masculinity and all the men who are out there are evil and shitty, and look at all these guys that these machismo men that think that they should go to war and fight. We need these type of guys. What type of guy do you think? I'm talking to these type of people, by the way, right now. I'm going to have a heart-to-heart with these feminist people. Let's just say you win. What type of men do you think you're going to get every morning to get up every morning at 5 a.m. before the light is even on? Go to work every single day, dig in the ditches, you know, do you ever see those guys on that sky rides with that old picture where the guys are sitting with their lunchbox looking down at the parking lot? You ever see that famous picture? Guys are sitting there and doing that dangerous job. Why do you think they're there? Because they love it? Because it's thrilling? You know how many people died? You know how many people died building the bridges in New York City? You know how many men died doing that? Do you know how many men with families died doing that? How many men died building the railroads? How many men died building the infrastructure that built the country? Let's not even talk about wars. Let's not even go there. We don't have to go about wars if you don't agree with war. But you know, wars just happen sometimes, and you can't always agree with war. But sometimes war comes at you. Who goes and does that? It's the guys. But what type of guy do you think does that? What type of guy? It's the guy that you don't like. It's that toxic guy, that is machismo, that believes he's that. He may have his flaws. That guy may be a problem. You know, it's socially in situations. But guess what? That's the guy you're going to be relying on when a burglar breaks into your house. And that's the guy you're going to rely on. You know, it's those type of guys, those strong men that get up and they do what they have to do. They protect their families. They work for their families. Those are the men that do that. And they not the artists. They're not going to do that. The artists, the guys that are the scholars. We need scholars too. And I'm not shitting on scholars. We need everybody. Scholars are important. Scientists are important. Artists are important. Everybody is important in our society. Everybody. And that's why we shouldn't shit on people just because they're a certain way, because it's that personality that you can't stand, you know, that you can't stand, that allows him to get up every morning to trudge through the shit so that he could put food on your plate, so that he could trudge and go in the coal mines and breathe in soot, you know, and hammer away. It's that type of person that does it. So if you change that person and you guys win and you change masculinity and you take that away from them, guess what you're left with? Nothing but a bunch of artists who won't work at that 9 to 5, 24 hours a day, who aren't going to go climb that scaffolding and look down, who isn't going to wash that window, who isn't going to clean your garbage. That's not the guy you're going to get. No, you're going to get all the artists. You're turning everybody into that. And that's not what we want. We need everybody in our society. So you have to, sometimes that type of person has to be a rock. He has to be hard. He has to be stone cold, because he has to put away his emotion, and then he drinks a little bit too much because he has to get up every morning and he has to look at an alarm clock that he wants to toss because he hates it. Right? We have those people, and these people, we need those people. They're our fathers. They're our grandfathers. They built the countries we live in right now. And you guys are shitting on them. You have no right to do that. Sorry, guys. I'm getting emotional because this is pissing me off. Because I'm not that type of person. I consider myself an artist. I'm not considering myself one of those people. I have been. I've gone to work. I know what working is. I've been construction worker. I've worked in those jobs, so I know what it's about. But I also know what it's like to have a father wake up every day. I also know what it's like to have a father drink himself to death. Not my father, but I've seen friends and other friends have that happen. You know, and that happens. Why? Because they kill themselves doing something they can't stand. Because and they do it because of the honor, that shit that you hate. The honor, that bravado, that male toxic masculinity that you guys are shitting on. Don't you know you have a father? Do you hate your father? Sorry, guys. I know this is getting crazy, but I'm just this is insane. We cannot be changing everybody because we want a certain type of guy. We want a certain type of male out there, that a guy that wakes up every day, tells us how beautiful we are all the time, blows roses and kisses at us. That type of guy, wonderful, great to have. But you know what? In this society, wouldn't have been built the way it is if we didn't have the other type of people. And we need all types of people in this society, right? Anyway. I went off a little bit there, guys. I'm 7 people watching still. I can't believe that. But it's insane. We need all different types of people, and they're trying to change. I think what they're trying to vilify is in essence what made, like, could men change in small ways? Sure. Men could change just as women could change. There's a lot of things that men don't like about women, and there's like, I mean, personality wise, that we think, you know, there's a song by Billy Joel that actually I was going to bring up. A song by Billy Joel called "She's Always a Woman." Now, this song was hated by feminists because it talks a lot about stuff that Billy Joel doesn't like, or supposedly doesn't like about women, and it brings out a lot of stuff about bad things about women. It talks a lot about women flaws, and actually a lot of the lyrics can apply to both directions. But funny part is Billy Joel didn't write the song. Again, more lies by feminists because women. Hey, Tori LG, how are you? You missed my rant. He didn't write this for like against women, which is funny because what he wrote this song, "She's Always a Woman to Me," he wrote that about his own wife, that was a cutthroat businesswoman, and everybody hated her and was shitting on her, and yet he still loved her regardless of all her flaws. And that was what the song was about. And if you read the lyrics, you know, it could go both directions, a lot of the things he says. But that song is saying, you know, regardless of how bad she is, how bad you guys think of her, you know, like the lyrics, "Oh, she can kill with a smile, she can wound with her eyes, she can ruin your faith with her casual lies, and she only reveals what she wants you to see. She hides like a child, but she's always a woman to me," right? It's basically saying, regardless of what you think of her, when she comes home, she's always somebody I love. She's still somebody I love. And I love that song because that's exactly what we are. We are people who we're going to have bad things about each other. But I don't like everything my wife does, and she doesn't like everything I do, but I still love her. You're not going to like everything your daughter does. You're not going to like everything your sister does, but you still love her. And that's exactly what it is. We have flaws. We're different, and we're into different things. We don't always agree. We're not always alike, but you still love them. I used to be construction and hardly seen females. They did painting and other light duty work, stonemasonry, and seen a female, or carpentry. You never see a female doing it. It's cool and truth. Well, yeah. I mean, I worked as a plumber. You know, I've done some drywall. I've done a lot of things, and I've seen women, but it's definitely lopsided, right? We don't have groups of people in schools making sure women go out, and well, we do a little bit now more than before, but there's still no outcry for women garbage men, or women, in construction, women doing heavy labor. And a lot of girls don't want to do heavy labor, and that's fine. They don't have to, but don't shit on guys that do. It's just the many sides of a woman. Well, yeah. And just like there's many sides of a man, right? There are many sides of a man. The song says again, like if you go on, the song is all like that. It's basically calling out different things about women, but in the end, he still loves her. And that's the thing about I wish women would do with us, right? Say the same thing about men. Their men are this, men are that. Men could be toxic, men could be all this. But regardless of all the things that men are, or men can be, I still love them, right? I still love them. I still appreciate a guy, even though my father, he's stone cold, and he's and he doesn't know what send his emotions. He's easy, quick to snap. Sometimes he's hard on me. Sometimes but I still love him because he got up every day and he worked at a job that he hated every day and came home to put food on our plate, despite all that, right? Because it takes a certain person to do that. It takes a certain strong person to do that. And men have been taking the brunt and the burden of that for years and years and years. And the only way that men could have gone through this for years and generations is, and I'm not trying to take away anything women have gone through either, because right now men are the ones on trial, not women. So I'm defending men. Shit, they're doing some shit outside of construction. Damn construction workers. Toxic masculinity out there. Yeah. I love my dad. I still have my dad, and I don't have my mom anymore. My mom was a strong woman too. She did exactly that. She went to work, and she wouldn't have believed in any of this crap. My mom was never a victim person ever. She would have gone to work. She went to work every day. She put food on our table just like my father did. They both worked. Um, and my mom was a strong person, just like my father. My mom did what she had to do in the same way. But she would never right now have any of this victim mentality. My mom defended me from bullies. She did a lot of the stuff that men would do. My mom was tough. She passed away, but they need to make a song that rejoices in men. Well, yeah. Well, they need to make a song, not just a song, but they need to people need to understand that there are flaws in all genders and people, and that regardless of which, there's also good in every people. There's the good and there's the bad. There's the yin and there's the yang. You can't have good without evil. You can't have evil without good. There is a balance. You can't start changing all men to suit what you want them to be because you're afraid of coming out of the closet. You're afraid of you're hiding in the closet because the world's a dangerous place. And I can't walk down the street because a couple of guys on a construction site might holler at me and make me feel like a victim. Tell those, I've seen girls walk by construction sites and told those men to go screw themselves right to their face. And the guys, whoa, whoa. Guess what? She was strong and she told them where to go. That's what women are supposed to do. Women aren't supposed to go like, oh my God. No, you tell those guys, screw off. If you feel victimized by, not even victimized by it, but if you feel belittled by it, don't make yourself into a victim. Make yourself better than them. Be strong. Black Hat Cinephile says, mine took better care of his stepkids while he went hungry. Mine took better care of his stepkids. Was better to his stepkids than he ever was to us. And he was with us. He deserves what he deserves for me to tell that. Yeah, I mean, not like I said. There are bad fathers. I mean, there are fathers that are different, right? We all have. I mean, I can't defend every dad. I can't, and what they do. Just like I can't defend every mom. There's women out there that kill their babies. There's all kinds. I'm not talking about actual once they're born. They kill them. And actually, that was talking to a police officer the other day, and it was a female. And she was telling me that there's an epidemic of that going on, of mothers killing their babies. And no one talks about it. It's one of those things that's a taboo for some reason to talk about, and the media doesn't want to focus on it because when a woman kills their baby, she's sick, and therefore she needs help. But if a man kills his family and then kills himself, he's a son of a bitch. I'm just saying there's another inequality in how we see the two things. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that happen where fathers are bad to their stepkids. I'm better than to their stepkids and their real kids. I feel like they made mistakes with their real kids. That's my experience with people I've known. I've talked to them and said I've made mistakes with my real kids, and I didn't want to make those same mistakes. So there's some people where we're all learning, right? My father's not perfect. My dad, I can go and tell you stories about him, just like I can tell you stories about my mom. Nobody's perfect. I don't think anybody's born with an instruction manual on how to raise a kid. In every situation is different. So I have a lot of forgiveness for things that my father did and things that my mother did, because you could always focus on the negative stuff, right? Total G, men and women to rejoice each other's differences. Oops, need. Well, that's the thing. Women say they don't need men. That's bullshit. Women need men. Men need women. We need each other. That's there's nothing wrong with that. We need each other. We need each other for multiple different things, whether it's comfort, love, you complete me, right? We need each other, that nonsense of we not needing each other is bullshit. I used to live alone for years. My place was a pigsty. I had a cat and I barely ever cleaned its litter. Just a typical, typical guy. My fridge was empty. I never took laundry. I did the laundry once a month. There's things that I just didn't care about, but I didn't even realize it was a problem, the way I was living. And then when I moved in with my girlfriend, she, at the time, she she cleaned me up. She took me. She showed me a better way of living. I didn't know how much I needed her until after that we got together, because I realized, wow, this life, you made life a lot easier for me. I don't have to keep looking for a sock. Socks are just in the place where they're supposed to be. How does this happen? And I completed her. She could tell you about the things that I do for her. I don't want to do that because that's her business. But she always tells me things that I do for her, and so I know that I complete her in different ways. And that's the thing. There are certain things that people need from the other side. Snoke spinal tap construction is something that needs to be done. Well, war also. I have 15 years of construction in that, and it's a man's place. It's rough enough for women and children like war. I don't disagree with that, man. I really don't. And that's the thing, is like, men are designed for lifting, building. Our bodies are constructed for that purpose. I mean, that is what our bodies are good for. We're good for that. Women are nurturers. That's the thing, though. They want to change that definition. They want to change it. They want to blur those lines. They want to talk about how women are just as strong as men physically, and that's a complete fabrication and a lie. Women are obviously weaker than men physically, especially in the upper body. I think the legs are a little bit closer, I think, as far as strength is concerned. I think women's legs I might even be stronger than men's. I'm not even sure, but definitely upper body strength. And the thing is, here's the thing I will say about construction, because I'm going to go on a bit of a thing on construction, and that's, as much as I find both, like my country and your country, we have this thing where we elevate our soldiers, right? Because we're like, well, they died for our country, and that's nothing wrong with that. Definitely, we should honor them, but we should also have a day where we honor the people who built. Like, I watched documentary after documentary about construction. I love watching about construction because I love seeing, how the New York, what was it? What's the bridge in New York? The old one. I can't remember what it's called. Not the Golden Gate's the other one in San Francisco. Brooklyn Bridge. The construction of the Brooklyn Bridge and the amount of people that died building that bridge. The amount of people that died building the train, the railroads in Canada. I mean, just think about how important the railroad system is for trade and from bringing things from one side to the other. That's important. Cities built around railroad systems. How many people died building railroad systems? How many people died building the infrastructure we have that we need, subway systems? You know what I mean? I think we need a day to honor construction workers, because I really think construction workers get maligned by society when it should be honored. I think it's an honorable job and it's an honorable system, and people need to, and they get paid well, at least in Canada. I'm not sure how they get paid in other countries, but in Canada, construction worker is one of the highest paid jobs. Like without an education, that is. But you'd still need an education for certain ones. But I do believe we need a day for construction workers. We do need a day to honor, like a certain Memorial Day, or some specific day to honor the people that built the infrastructure of our world. Because there was a tough task, and they did it. And I think they were just as important as soldiers were. Coal miners and miners who put power and energy. People who die in oil refineries, or people who die on fishing boats. There are people who work hard, that do dangerous jobs, and deserve an honor. That's my take on that, guys. What time is it now? It's 4:18, guys. You tired of listening to me now? Let me hear. If you're tired, I can keep going. But if you guys want me to go, if you guys are tired, you want to do something else, let me know now, because I can, because I got 8 of you watching. I don't mind if you guys want to sit around and chat. This lawnmower dude, he's doing his job. Good for him. But he's making my job hard. So guys, what do you guys want to continue? Yes, no, maybe, no? Because I do agree with Toriel. We need more harmony. We need more harmony. We got to stop. Like, the whole thing started off, we talked about conspiracy theories. We did talk about how I do believe that they're all, keep going. All right. Encore. Let's do it. Okay. We do have, these things are true. These conspiracy theories, whether you want to believe them or not, about the division of people, about people being divided, so that it's a divide and conquer mentality. What the end game is, we can debate. The end game of what the intention is, I don't know. I have my own theories, and that's why they're called theories. What I think the end game is to all this. I do believe a lot of it is also just distraction. Distraction for what? That's debatable. But as far as the outcome is definitely distraction, because a lot of it doesn't even make any sense. And we shouldn't be fighting with each other. And here's the thing too: the more we pander to SJW stuff, right? It doesn't even empower women. It doesn't empower anybody. Like if you wake up every day and you think that I'm going to go get this world. Okay, so I wake up, I put on my skirt, because I wear nice skirts in the morning. Put a little rouge with some lipstick on, and I'm going to take over the world, right? I feel strong and good about myself. I'm just boozing at the moment anyway. I wish, I got to get some booze in me too. Damn it. You guys are drinking without me, you bunch of jerks. You guys could share a little. Can you imagine we could just share booze over the internet? Just type thing. It's just some portal ring that I'm just chugging away now. Thank you. That'd be awesome. Let's invent that, guys. You wake up in the morning as a female. You put on your pants, or you put on your best skirt. You put on your hair. You do your hair. You power suit. You want to go out there. You want to take over the world for yourself. I mean, not take over the world literally, but you want to go out there and you want to be all that you can be, right? And then you go in your car that you bought with your own money and you're driving. Raising my coffee mug. That's what I do. All I got is a coffee mug here. And you go to your job, and you want to go to your job, and you feel strong, you feel empowered, you feel good about yourself. You turn on the radio, and all you hear is, and the people who talk to you, or you go on your websites, you go on your chat lines in the morning before you go to work. Maybe you're in the washroom, in the toilet, and you got your phone out, and you're just doing your thing. None of us do that, right? I just don't get it. This is tearing the world apart. This is just wrong. Yeah. Now we do this, right? We feel strong about ourselves. And now you have people talking about women aren't strong. Women aren't empowered. We need you to give us power. There's this not fair. Women have a disadvantage. Women are weaker. I mean, women aren't weaker. We need you to prove it. Women have, there's men, the patriarchy are holding us back. Women can never achieve anything. We have to work twice as hard to achieve something. Now you're a woman who felt good about yourself. You felt like you were going to go out there and you're going to succeed. You heard all this stuff, all this demoralizing stuff about you and about stuff that may or may not be true in this world. Even if it is true, let's just let's even forget the argument for a second there. And let's just say that it's all true. I don't believe it, but I'm just saying, let's say it's all true for this argument right now. And there is a patriarchy holding back women. So let's just say that is true. How does that help you? How does that help you to feel like you're weak? How does that feel? How does feeling like you got somebody holding you back? How does that help you? How does that make you feel? That makes you feel powerless. It makes you feel weaker. It doesn't make you feel strong. It makes you feel demoralized. You don't want to. You feel like this world is not. No matter what I do, this world's gonna knock me down. There's no way I'm gonna ever succeed. Now I'm saying there are people who could push past this for sure. There's a lot of people who could push past this regardless and tune that out and then still succeed. Judge Judy succeeds. How does she succeed? Did patriarchy go to sleep for a little while she was succeeding? She's one of those that if you ask her, she doesn't care very much about feminism because she never felt that she was disadvantaged in any way because she didn't believe it. She still doesn't believe it. She does what she has to do when she rises, and she managed to get to the top of her field. How did Oprah do it? Did the patriarchy fall asleep while Oprah was rising to the top? Were white people holding her back too? White men holding her back while she was rising to the top of her field, making more money than God? How the hell, was all the stuff that's holding these women back? Were they all sleeping for these particular women? There's a show on Netflix called OA. I don't know if you guys heard of it. There's OA. It's a popular show. It's really good. I'm watching it. It's got 2 seasons, written, produced, directed, and stars the same woman. I forgot her name, but she's a producer. She wrote it. She's the director. I mean, I don't know if she directs it, but she definitely produces it. but she definitely stars in it. She does all this woman. How did she do it? Did the patriarchy just go nappy by while she was succeeding in life? No, she did it because she didn't believe that she couldn't do it. She didn't believe the narrative that there's a patriarchy holding her back. And the patriarchy narrative does nothing but hold you back in your own life. So this whole thing that these SJWs are trying to make people, what you're doing is you're hurting them more than you're helping. You're not helping anybody by trying to by telling people that they're weak, by telling people, reminding them every day. How does it feel? How would it feel to be a black person consistently being reminded about slavery every 5 minutes? I would hate to be woken up and reminded every 5 minutes that my ancestors were slaves. I would hate that because I want to succeed. I want to go on with my life, and I want to do what I got to do. But I don't want to keep being reminded of the things that remind me that hold me back, or that make me feel like I can't do something or I can't believe in myself. I mean, as a Portuguese person I was raised in Canada. I was born in Canada, but my father was raised during the time of Salazar. I don't know if you guys know anything about Portugal, but Salazar was an emperor, was a ruler like a Castro, you know. And he had this thing where he would rule his people by belittling them. And as long as he kept the people in Portugal, which at the time my father was in Portugal, well, he came here at 10, but we're talking about his grandparents. But he was taught a certain thing, and then he taught his kids a certain thing. They ruled over Portugal. He ruled over Portugal. Salazar did, by keeping the people down, by consistently putting them down. Portuguese people can't amount to anything. Portuguese people are and belittled Portuguese people all the time. And now, even me in Canada, my father, anytime I tell my dad I want to be something special, my father would always have this habit of saying, you can't do that. You know, that's for other type of people, not us. We can't do these things. He's still ingrained with that programming in his mind, that programming of belittling him, of having to feel down about himself, because that's how they kept people down in Portugal. And I was raised in Canada, believing in Canadian things like you could be anything you want if you just work hard enough. But then my father, who wasn't raised there, my father would, has this practical thing: work hard, become a construction worker, go to school, not go to school. Actually, Portuguese are the biggest dropouts, to be honest. But because they value work, hard work, because that's what they wanted Portuguese people to be, was just workers, and that was it. So anyway, worker ants. So that's how we were raised. And now today I still have that ingraining inside of me, where I still feel like, even it doesn't matter how much I achieve, or people tell me, oh, Shane, you're so talented. Oh, Shane, you're this. Oh, Shane, you're that. In my mind, I'm always, no, I'm not. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Because I was raised to think that I wasn't good enough. And so I always have to somehow defeat that mentality and push past that. Because so I know firsthand experience how it feels to be belittled, even without like we're talking about cultural belittling, as opposed to like we would say that. Even if that's true, you still have to push past it. You still can't use that as an excuse, and because if you do, it only continues the narrative. You have to push past it yourself. The only way to push past it is to do it, to become the exception, so that it's no longer the narrative. Maybe that's the end game: tyranny, censorship, control. I mean, we're already there. I mean, let's be honest. We're already being controlled. We're already being manipulated. Well, how much more control do they need? I mean, let's be honest. We're already stuck in our places. We're already born, and if you're this, you're this, and if you're this, you're this. If your last name is Thurston Howell III, you're probably going to go into office. But if your name is, you get what I'm saying? But if your name is Johnny Sanchez, you're probably, or Shaney Martinez, you're probably going to end up being a construction worker or a cleaner. This already, the narrative's already been we've already been placed in our spots. How much more control can they possibly have? They already have all the money. It's like Monopoly. You ever played a game of Monopoly? And some guy has all the pieces. He's won everything. He's won. He's got the railroads. He's got Park Place. He's got everything. He's got hotels and everything. And we're just going around the damn board, pass and go, That's all we do. We collect our $200 and we just go around. We got to pay this bill. We got to pay over here. We got to pay for the train. We got to do this. We have nothing to buy. We can't buy anything. Everything is bought up. This guy won't let us buy anything because he owns everything. Once you know that guy that won everything in Monopoly but doesn't want the game to end, and even once the money is run out in the bank, he just says, "Don't worry, I'll lend you more money, guys. Just keep playing because I love having all the money." And he's just sitting there with all the properties. He's got all the he's got everything, and we're just a bunch of suckers consistently running around the board, paying everywhere we go, and every time there's no money in the bank left, so all he's doing is lending us money. Just that's all. So we got loaned money, and now we're in debt for the rest of our life. So we're just going around the board, paying off. Now we have to pay every time we collect $200. We got to pay him a little bit of money because he keeps lending us money to keep playing this damn game. At some point, you got to tell this guy, "Hey, game is over. You won. Let's put the pieces back in the box. It's time to play a different game. This game sucks. It's time. You won Monopoly. There is nothing left to buy. There's nothing left to own. You won. The bank is broke. We're sitting here with no money, and all you're doing is lending us money, just so that we can keep playing this game, this delusion that we have a chance to win." That's sort of what we are in right now, if you really want to think about it. Except for there is avenues where we can win. I mean, I'm being a little facetious here, a little bit hard, but there is ways to win. It's just it's extra harder now, is all it is, in this world. And that's. I mean, look at even YouTube. For guys like me who want to succeed in YouTube, we want to succeed in YouTube, but look at how saturated YouTube is and everything. Like, we still hold hope that we get that video that goes viral, or that channel that's big and that's already made it, that reaches down from his holy Mount Olympus and pulls us up and maybe gives us a hand. But for the most of us, it's a really hard place because it's oversaturated with 1,000 people talking about the same things. And so it's hard. But we still do it. We still got to try. We still believe that we can. And maybe that's all we need is belief. And maybe there is an avenue for us to succeed. Maybe there is. But as far as your whole discussion about control, the only thing they have left to control, and I think if I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, guys, because I'm going to give you Shaney Entertainee's conspiracy theory du jour. What I believe is happening and I don't take things lightly. What I believe now, I could change tomorrow, because I don't stay addicted to thoughts or ideas. I have ideas based on the information that I have up to this point. And that's how I reason. I reason with critically think about what I've seen, what my experience thinks, and this is how I feel. PBS, okay, Snokesman says, eugenics is what made Hitler in the long run. Very interesting stuff. Spinal Tap, PBS just did a documentary on eugenics. Loved it. Yeah, that's a whole interesting, different thing altogether, eugenics. And the making of a species or of a group of people to be perfect beings. And here's the thing about this controlling factor. There's a lot of people talking about Illuminati. I don't know if you guys are believing of Illuminati or Freemasons or any of those groups. I know that the Freemasons exist, and I'm full disclosure, I was asked to be a Freemason once upon a time. I've said that on air before, and I don't care. I turned them flat down. I had a family member who married into Freemasonry, and they talked to me. They liked me. They liked what I had to say. They actually borrowed books that I read, and they were 33rd degree Freemasons, and they borrowed books that I had because I was into this. I was really into that stuff, and so I had all kinds of really interesting books, and I read them all. So I knew a lot about Freemasonry, and I could tell you a lot about it. And they were intrigued by me, and they said, "Well, we know if you want to join, we'll sponsor you." I took a long time to think about it, because in order to be in the Freemasonry, you got to be, first of all, you have to ask to be a Freemason. You can be invited, but you also have to want to be one. So I had several people willing to sponsor me as a Freemason, and I decided against it. I thought about the pros and cons too, because I'm like, Well, I'll probably have brotherhood that will help push me. And like my channel, probably if I was a Freemason, would probably gone straight to the top by now. All the Freemasons would have subbed to me, and they would have to, because brotherhood comes first. So the minute you said, "Hey, Freemasons," go on to the Freemason channels and just say I'm a channel, and they probably would have a whole bunch of people subbing to my channel, because that's how it works. They're a brotherhood, um, and that's how it works. But they have secrets. Stuff that they wouldn't talk to me about, because even if I tried to bring up stuff, they shut their mouth. I will say this, guys. I really think they believe in aliens. Just saying that now, because every time we talk about aliens, they were just, and I didn't want to talk about it. And you knew that there was something there. They wanted to talk. You could tell their mouth. They wanted to talk about it, but they couldn't. They just couldn't. You knew they just couldn't do it. But they have something inside of them. Love to stay, but have good journey. Yeah, no, good journey to you, Toriel G. I'm glad you told me to stay and you're taking off. What's going on here? You're one of those that said, Shane, stick around. Now you're taking off on me. Don't worry. That's all right. Don't worry. Have a good time. Yeah. So I do believe that this stuff does exist. What the end game is for them, and I'm not saying they run anything, because there's lots of different. There's the Rosicrucians. There is a group calling themselves the Illuminati, and I know that firsthand because I have encountered with them. There are different groups and different people who have different ideas of how to run things, and that's why you're never going to have a cohesive world, because everyone says that this group is controlling this and this group is controlling that. Can you get, how many alpha personalities can you get into a room and actually agree on how to paint a ceiling or your house? You're never going to agree. You'll be like, I want it black, I want it brown, I want it purple. Alpha people who are high in the world, they have a certain way of running things, and they're so regardless of, there's always going to be dissension within, even within a controlling faction. The pyramidal system is so the toilers create value and trickle their money up to the leisure luxury class who don't want to toil for that. That's been going around for ages, man. That's Egyptians. That's going down to the probably before the Egyptians and the what do you call them? What are those before the Egyptians? The Sumerians. Way before. That's just something that's human nature. Anytime you have people on top, even in your own boss, just think about your own work. You got a guy who's the boss, as the manager, who just sits there, does nothing, and all the people have to do all the work. Meanwhile, he takes all the money, sits there like a jerk, taking getting all the bonuses while we're doing all the work. And he sits around just dictating, "Hey, you gotta do this, and you just maybe do that, and I'm gonna go on my break now. See you later." And then everyone's working hard, and he's sitting there getting bonuses from the company. That's always been the case. That's always been the case. And like I've always said, though, the problem is the system that we have, and we need to change. But we're not going to change it because we're too dogmatic about our systems. And I'm talking about all systems. I've always said all systems are failures. All isms suck. I don't like socialism. I don't like capitalism. Socialism. I don't like communism. I do think capitalism can work, but it has to be regulated heavily, and it is not at this current moment. And what we have with capitalism is a problem in which it's supposed to be a cycle where it's supposed to feed into itself and work to, like you people work, they go to, you work, you pay money, you collect pay, you pay your taxes, whatever. Then the businesses, they create jobs, and the jobs, they create, so the businesses make money, they create jobs, and then more people go to work, and then then these people save up money, then they create a new business, they create more jobs, and it's supposed to work like this. But the system is broken. It's completely broken right now because you got companies don't want to create new jobs. They're outsourcing jobs. That's not working. You got the inflation, which is another issue that just continuously rises, devalues the currency, and then the currency is worthless. But they're not compensating by increasing, which is natural in our system in our banking system, but they're supposed to be incrementally raising the minimum wage so that it at least balances that off. But they don't do that, because if they raise minimum wages, then again, corporations aren't making their money and their profits. So they don't want to do that. So it just becomes, now it's not even a cycle. It's just some crazy chaotic mess that we have going on. That needs to be fixed for capitalism to work. And who's going to do it? That's the problem. Who's going to do it? Who has the balls? The problem is that now the corporations are buying out, like we said in the beginning of this whole thing, who's going to run for office? It's a guy who's being funded by the same people who are profiting from a system that it's the guy who's running the monopoly game. He's like, he's the guy who's now funding a guy to be in office because he's got everything. So we need a press reset on the entire thing. But how do you do that? That's the question. And I'm just talking, guys. Really, I mean, I don't want anyone accusing me of being anything, because I'm not a strict thinker of ideas. I don't hold on to ideas. I'm always evolving. If someone tells me, Shane, you're full of shit, this is the reason, and they come up with an argument to say why I'm full of shit, my ears are wide open, because I always want to hear that I'm full of shit, because this way I can learn. I'm always up to learning, because that's the one thing about my life. I've always want to learn. Even if I talk shit today, tomorrow someone will say, give me a good reason as to why I'm full of shit, and give me a really cogent argument, and I'll be like, you know what? I was full of shit, and I'm okay with that because I'm learning. I don't hold on to ideas. I don't need to, because I don't identify as a person who, I don't identify as someone who knows what he's talking about. First of all, I have opinions, and I read things, and this is what I think. And you guys are here listening to me, and I'm glad, and I'm thankful for that. I think I've been on really too long, guys. So you guys are drinking, or you guys are having a good time. I'm thankful for that. But I am going to get going, because my neck is starting to cramp sitting in this chair, and I'm getting hungry. So thank you guys for watching my channel. So is there anything else you guys want me to say? Anything you don't understand? Anything you'd like my opinion on before I leave? Let me know. I didn't even get to talk about Star Wars, which I had mentioned in the thing, but we got into other things and more important things probably. So anything else you guys want me to talk about? You guys good? You guys good? Anybody? I was going to wait for a little bit before I head off, because you guys probably going to say, no, don't go, or get the hell out of here. We're tired of hearing your voice. One way or the other, I'm okay. All right, there's nobody talking. So thank you. What you just said is why I tune in. I'm glad, man. You see, a lot of times I talk like I'm trying to be funny. I'm a comedy guy. I'm always trying to make people laugh. The reason I do that is just because I like putting smiles on people's faces. I know it sounds cliche and stupid, but that's what I do. I've always enjoyed putting smiles on people's faces, because it makes, and it's a selfish thing. It sounds altruistic, but it isn't. It's a selfish thing. I feel good. It makes me feel better to make others feel better. Like it's like whatever. It's like energy. I make you feel better. You laugh. You go ha ha ha, and then that makes me feel better. I feel like I did something good today because I made you smile. But sometimes, you know, we also have to talk about other things and be serious. And I'm trying to learn that there's a balance. People right now, I don't think are in the mood to laugh as much as they used to be. Although we do need to laugh, but we do need to discuss things, and we need to be open about our discussions. I'm not judging anybody here. I don't judge people on my channel, first of all, because I do believe that what you guys have come through in your life, everything is subjective. What you went through as a child that leads you to the opinion that you have today is probably why you have your opinion. So I can't take that away from you, no matter how my life experience leads to the reasons that I am the way I am. So I don't judge anybody else, because I can't. You can't put judgment, because we are all different people. Some people live in different countries with different cities and different experiences, and so they see things in different ways, and I respect that. And I just as I hope you would respect how I see things. But the thing is, we can all agree on multiple things, and the core things, I think, is what really matters. It's the core things that we all need to come together on. And the core things is that we don't want to live in a world with hate and animosity and anger. We want a world where we can enjoy without feeling shamed, without feeling pointed a finger at, without feeling vilified. And I'm pretty sure on the other side, they want a world where they could feel safe, where they could feel like they can come out and be who they are without feeling anxiety or whatever that they feel. And we got to find a way to come together on this, because here we are, two different sides not seeing eye to eye, and we have to find a way to come up to this bridge this gap, right? Pointing fingers at SJWs consistently, which I do, because right now we're the ones on the attack, and we're the ones being attacked. So I have to defend us. But they have to come up to the point where they have to realize too that they're not as hard done by as they believe they are. The world isn't after them the way that they believe. And they're not us. They're picking a villain in the wrong direction. There are villains to be pointed at, but we're not the ones. We're just as a victim of circumstance as they are. We just handle it differently. Men are a little bit stronger willed because we've been raised to be stronger willed. Ike is a gatekeeper whose job is to make like the secret knowledge is about aliens, but it's demons. They want us to believe in aliens. So if we see something non-human, we'll think it's an alien. That's interesting. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Believe it or not, I'm really into that stuff as well. I toil with that idea back and forth. It could be both. I don't know. I can't say for certain, because sometimes when I think it's one way, then I have evidence in a different direction, and so it's sort of confusing. I don't know whether it is aliens or if it's demons or if it's both. It's hard to say, because one thing that I don't do is I don't decree anything without any knowledge, because I can't have knowledge of this. All I can have is I have a belief. I do believe that there is intelligent life in space, but I also believe that there is interdimensional issues. There has always been throughout. I hear I said I was going to go, and man, God dang it, you just you're preying on my weakness to speak. You just keep throwing me tantalizing topics that I just can't say no to. Yeah. I've studied demonic stuff because over the time of my studies, I found it interesting. Not that I don't, I just find it interesting in the fact that there's been a form of demon in every culture from the dawn of time. There has always been some demonic in every culture. I've studied Hinduism at times. I've studied, ancient Sumerian stuff. I've studied ancient Egyptian stuff, and they always, in ancient Greek, ancient Celtic mythologies, in all mythologies, there is a talk of a specific demon. And the funny part is they all tend to be very similar, which is kind of intriguing to me. And then also they talk and Catholicism talks about demons and different ways, but it's all sort of similar. And then then you got that show, was it Ancient Aliens? That guy, what's his name? That guy who talks like this. It has to be Ancient Aliens. There's no other way. Guy, everything is Ancient Aliens. CERN tunnels. Well, yeah, the interesting thing about CERN in Switzerland, which is the super collider, in there is a lot of very interesting demonic picturization on their sculptures and stuff. It's very weird, and that's kind of what your mind is kind of like. What's it's a cultic thing. I'm not sure. Again, we can have a whole different discussion about this if you'd like. Because CERN is very interesting. The CERN super collider. I assume that's what you're talking about. CERN tunnel ceremony. Yeah, they're the super collider in their building has a lot of. Even if you look at weird, if you go to Denver, the Denver airport has a lot of weird stuff too. But anyway, I guess we'll only know when we know. Otherwise, we can't know. And really doesn't matter at this point whether it is or isn't. Because regardless of what it is, we still got to live our lives, and we still got to do what we got to do. No rocket has ever functioned in the airless zero pressure vacuum. The laser. Oh, okay. So Black Hat Cinephile, you are definitely a flat earther, which I don't have a problem with. I actually studied Black Earth a little bit, flat Earth. Right? Am I correct on that? I found it very interesting, and I did a lot of research into flat Earth. But we can have that discussion on a different time. I'm not a flat earther, but I do find certain arguments compelling, and that's as far as I'll say, because I don't unless I have a telescope or I have a rocket ship and I fly up above the world, I won't say anything for sure. But I do believe that, as for now, the world is round because of the fact that um, there is one flaw in an argument that I've had with flat earthers, and that is that I still don't understand how the temperature works. Because according to the theories, the sun revolves like a record around. So Canada would be a hot country, and Australia would be a cold country. So that's according to the flat Earth theory. Anyway, people are scared of things that are unknown. Our thoughts create everything known to man. So far, we would all walk on all fours if one didn't teach each other how to walk on two. Um, it's interesting, yeah, because human beings seem to be the only animals that do that, or creatures that do that, because most creatures are innately learning these things. Like a deer, doesn't get taught to walk. A deer walks. The minute it comes out of its mother, it knows how to walk on all fours instantly. But we seem to be the only um, species that needs to be, that our bodies are completely like we just don't have any motor skills or ability. When we're born, we have to be taught everything: how to eat. We get spit up our food. We can't communicate, talk. We can't do a lot of things. There's it's a weird phenomenon for human beings. I find there's something missing in our DNA that I do think there is a junk DNA in our that they've discovered that they don't understand what it is, and I don't know exactly what we are. But anyway, again, we're getting into these really heavy topics today, man. What happened here? This was supposed to be a completely different conversation, and look at where we went. Look at where we went. um, yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys, see, that's the thing about this. I love hearing different opinions and different conversations, and it's good to know that I'm not the craziest person um, in the world, because we are all crazy, and we all crazy in the fact that what they would consider crazy. Because I don't think any of these conversations are crazy. I think all these conversations are worth having, all of them, every single last one. No one has ever left Earth's atmosphere because it's not possible. Um, yeah, see, like I said, I have a lot of friends who are flat earthers, and I've heard and spoken to them, and we discuss a lot of things. And I'm, like I said, I don't know. All I'm going to say is I'm open to everything. So if you guys can convince me one way or the other that there is a flat Earth, then I'm open to it. But at the same time, it would have to be really compelling arguments. And I've heard and I've seen a lot of documentaries and a lot of things about it. Um, and all I hear is that this can't be possible. This can't be possible. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a rocket scientist. So I can't debate you um, one way or the other. See, I'm in a position where I don't have enough knowledge to debate somebody. I don't have enough knowledge to go to a scientist or an astrophysicist and say, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, because I'm not smart. I'm not as knowledgeable as he is when it comes to astrophysics or when it comes to aerodynamics. And to know about, like, I will say there are a lot of compelling arguments that I will say, and I will argue that, like, for instance, the arguments that I still find weird is gravity. When the Earth is spinning in its rotation, if you're standing on the North Pole, like the peak of the North Pole, why is it that shouldn't gravity be less there than it is on the outer sides, because the pull of the Earth? So and again, maybe it is less. See, that's how stupid I know. I am. Maybe it is less. I'm just supposing that it's not, but because I don't know. See, that's what I mean by my knowledge isn't good enough to have this intellectual debate with someone who's smarter than me in this area. So, all I have is just theories and thoughts. And theories and thoughts are interesting, and we can have them. We can discuss them openly, and that's fine. And I'm proud that we can. But I can't say to somebody who has knowledge in aerodynamics or astrophysics that they're wrong. And like, cause I don't know. I'm listening to someone else telling me something, and I have to know for myself. You get what I'm saying? You understand what I mean? I have to know for myself. And it doesn't matter how many times a flat earther says, no one's done something, I don't know one way or the other. Just like you don't know whether all the things are. We all don't know. I'm not there. I wish I was. I wish I could. The stars never change. Changing temperatures proves of the close sun and the distant sun would heat the Earth evenly. If we were rotating, would be blah, blah. If we were rotating, there would be two sets of stars and would swap out with the rotation. Again, I still want to understand, because the thing that I hear again, that I hear is that, or I've heard, is that the sun rotates like a record, according to flat Earth theory. It goes around like a record, like the center of, like the needle on a record, right? And so if you suppose the Earth is flat and spread outward, and the record player is spinning, and it's the Earth. Sorry, the record is still, but the needle is spinning, and it's going around like that, outwardly like that, right? And then it revolves inward like this, and then back outward like this, right? That's how I've seen the flat Earth theory discuss how it works. Again, by that map, the coldest parts of the world would be the hottest parts of the world, because look at how long the sun is spending its time in the middle. Canada would be a hot country, which I know firsthand it ain't, because Canada's right at the top. So look at, and now Australia, which is right here, look how long it takes before Australia gets sun. Right? If I'm here, my finger is Australia, it takes a lot longer for to get there. That's where, I mean, like, we gotta, there's holes in theories. That's why we have theories. I know all your feudal logic. I figured out things that mainstream haven't realized. Well, listen, I'm open to ideas. So if you can send me some stuff that's irrefutable, because like I said, I'm not a closed-minded person. I like discussions. I like debates, and I want to be proven wrong. So prove me wrong. That's what I challenge people to do. Prove me wrong, and I'm open to it. So send me stuff that proved to you without a shadow of a doubt, and send it to me, because I want to see it. I'm open to it. And if you guys are round earthers, send me that too. So this way we can have this debate. But I see we have to have an open debate and an honest debate. We can't talk about, like, be like, if we don't agree, we're still two people who are intelligent people who like, I'm not judging you or calling you stupid or anything for what you believe. I don't do that. That's not who I am, regardless. I don't, because whatever you believe, you want to believe, it's, or, whether it is factual or not. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I don't care, because the object for us is different personalities and different people, is to have different ideas and different opinions. And it's okay. It's okay for us to, as long as the main purpose is that you and I, at the end of the day, understand that the world is messed up, and that the world needs, that we need to fix things, and that we can agree on those things. We could agree on the main core things. That's fine. If the Earth is round, then guess what? We'll figure this out eventually. If the Earth is flat, we will figure that out too eventually. When we fix our society, when we fix the people who are what we consider the controlling factors, or whatever we consider that, these things will sort itself out, and then we will all come together on that. It won't even matter. Centrifugal force is impossible to disprove, the centrifugal force, but if we were real, it would be if it were real, it would be undirectional. So people at the poles would be slanted sideways. Is it possible to disprove? But in the real, anyway, I don't know. Again, we're just talking. Show me, because I'm trying to picture it. Hey, SK Wills, how's it going? I'm actually going to head out, guys. I really thank you guys for watching, and we do have a really good discussion. And Black Hat Cinephile, you're awesome guy. I really hope you and I, we can discuss openly about these things and still keep the relationship, because I've a lot of people who I've discussed that who were flat earthers that tend to get very angry, and hopefully we can keep that together, because I'm open. I'm more than most people are. I'm very open to things, and I challenge my mind to be challenged, because I like it. Sure, man. Sure. So send me. Like I said, if you have a video, put it in the link. I will definitely watch it. And maybe one day you and I can come together. We'll do a show together. We'll talk about it. That would be awesome. You and I could have we'll even have a live stream about it. I'd be all for that, because that's, like I said, anybody has any theory about anything, I'm willing. I know a lot of people say, well, a lot of people I talk to will right away cut things off the knees because they think it's silly or it's stupid. I don't do that, because there is no need for that. Even if at the end of the day we come to agreement that this thing is wrong, there is still things to be learned from it, from the journey. It's the journey that gives us the knowledge, that regardless of whether or not if Christopher Columbus found out the world was flat, let's just say back in the day, the journey he still went on was still an important journey, because he still learned something along the way. And I'm pretty sure he found a lot of things important. So that's what I'm about, guys. And SK Wills, again, hope you're feeling better about your brother. I know you had a tragedy in the family, and I hope you feel good I hope you're feeling a little bit better. My condolences come out to you, my friend, longtime listener. Guys, check out Snook Spinal Tap's channel. He loves Transformers just like me. He's a huge toy guy. Black Hat Cinephile, you have a channel too, right? Talk about movies and things like that, and old movies. Check him out. Tori LG, go check her out. Go subscribe to all these guys' channel. Death by Saber, check him out. And sign the Batwoman petition, guys. Sign that. Sign that Batwoman petition, because we gotta at least show that we are tired of this. We got to show why. We got to put our foot down on something. And so let's choose something to put our foot down on. And that's what I chose. So you guys choose your own thing, but I'm asking you guys to help me out if you guys want. I came to those conclusions, realizing people come to the heliocentric belief by social conditioning. It shows how much we get lied to. It's possible. We get lied to about everything. All right, guys. So again, you're not going to goad me into keep talking. I know that's what you're doing. All right. No, honestly, though, I do love that you came. I really appreciate you, Black Hat Cinephile. I do. But I do have to get going, and you guys keep feeding. You guys keep feeding. You guys keep feeding these things to me, because it's just going to keep me baiting me to keep coming back. But I really have to go. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you leave now, the world will end eventually. You won't let me leave. What? Oh man, you guys are awesome. I love it. I love you guys. And I hope this wasn't too heavy for you guys. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about this. A lot of times I hold back. But anyway, thanks. I gotta go. See, my phone's ringing. So I'll see you guys later.